So we're going to look at how to solve systems of linear inequalities. And so notice here, this looks a lot like the graphing the systems of equations, but instead of having equations, we've got inequalities. So remember, just as a reminder, if we are going to have a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, we use a solid line. If we have a less than or a greater than, we use a dotted line. If we have less than or equal to, we shade below the line. If we have greater than or equal to, we shade above. So if I graph both of these lines here, I'm going to have y is less than or equal to negative x minus 2. So I've got a y-intercept at negative 2. I have a slope of negative 1 here, so I'm going to go down 1, left 1. I'm down 1, right 1, sorry. And then this is a less than or equal to, so I'm going to use a solid line. Please go ahead and shade this before you move on to the second line, or you're going to forget what is what. So I'm going to shade, this is a less than, I'm going to shade below this line. So I'm going to color in here below this line. Okay, let me switch colors here. Let's use the green for the second line. So for the second line, I've got a y-intercept at 2. I've got a slope of negative 5, so I'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, and I'll get a line that looks like this. Sometimes it's a little hard to decide below or above whenever you got that really steep line, but if I'm going on the y-axis, right here's above, so that's this side, right here's below, so that's this side. And we've got greater than or equal to, so we're going to shade above the line. So I'm going to pick a different color here. It'll let me. Let's use green. And I'm going to shade above the line here. Now, the answer for these problems is the part of the graph where your shading overlaps. So in this particular case, I'm going to go back over it with a different color. Well, I can get it different color to show up. Use red here. So these two shaded sections, they overlap right here. So if you're doing this with a pencil, go back and make it darker in that section, or you could erase the other parts. But this red part right here, that is your answer. Okay. What this means is that any point that falls in this section will make both of these inequalities true. Okay. Let's try the next one. Okay. For this first line, I have actually that is the exact same problem over again, which is probably a typo. But that's okay. We'll just move on. Then actually, no, it's not. Let me go back. This is not the exact same problem over again. Let's look at why. So the first is the exact same line. You've got negative 2, the slope of negative 1. So it's the same line that we graphed before. But this time we have a greater than sign, so that means we've got to use a dotted line whenever we graph the line. And we've got greater than, so we're going to shade above. So whenever I shade, let me actually get the blue this time. Alright, so we're going to shade above the line. Here. Okay, and then we're going to graph the second line. And on that second line, I've got a y-intercept at 2, a slope of negative 5. Okay, same line that we graphed before, but this time we have a less than sign, so we're going to use a dotted line. for that graph. And then we need to shade below the line because it's less than this time. So if I grab that green, if I can get it to come up, green, I'm going to shade below, so I'm going to shade over here. So while the lines look the same, the answer is the part where these two overlap, which is this section right here. So I'm going to put this here in red. Okay, so that is the part that is the answer for the problem. Alright, let's try another. Okay, we're going to look at number 3. If I graph number 3, let me grab a really being hateful. Come on. Okay, so for this first line, I have a y-intercept at 2. I have a slope of up 1 over 2. And I have an or equal to sign right here. So I'm going to use a solid line for this. Okay. And then I'm going to shade below because I have less than or equal to. So let's use the blue and shade below. Okay. For the second line, I have a y-intercept at -3. Then I have a slope of -2, so I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1, or I could go up 2 to the left 1, like so. Okay, and this time I have a less than sign, so I'm going to shade below that line. So we can get the green. And so I'm going to shade below this line here. And that means that my answer is going to be this red section here. So any numbers in that section will make both of these equations true. Okay, let's look at number 4. For number 4, I've got x is less than or equal to -3. Remember, if you have x equals a number, that is a vertical line. So we've got right here at, at -3, not positive. So at -3, there's where x equals -3. This is going to be a vertical line. And I just realized that I messed up on the last problem. Here, notice I use a solid line because I have an or equal to. Over here on this problem, I was not supposed to use a solid line for that green line there. So let's just go back and make that dotted. There we go. So that green line should have been dotted because it's a less than sign. It does not have an or equal to with it. So if we go to back to the one we're on now, we've got this vertical line. Now, vertical lines are a little more difficult to figure what's above and below because you only have left and right. So whenever this happens, the right side is above. That is the positive side. The x-axis is positive here, so that's above. And the left side is below. So here, less than or equal to, we need the numbers less than or equal to -3, so we choose the left side right here. For the second graph, we are going to plot our y-intercept at +2. We have a slope of 5 over 3. Notice here you run out of room when you try to do 5 over 3. So instead, go down 5 and to the left 3. That still gives you a line with a positive slope that has a slope of 5/3. Notice I was about to make that same mistake again. I have a less than sign here, so I need to use a dotted line instead of a solid line because I do not have an or equal to here, so I use a dotted line. And then this is less than, so I'm going to shade below. And if I shade below, get my colors right here. That green, I'm shading here below. And my answer is just that part where they overlap. So this little tiny sliver right here, which it will continue going out, but that little sliver right there, that's where my answer is at. Okay, let's look at the next part. I can get this to erase like I want to. Okay. I'm going to skip on down and do number 7 and number 8. So you can go back and do 5 and 6 yourself. So I'm going to look at number 7. Number 7, we've got a problem because the first one's not solved for y. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to take 4x plus y less than 2, and we've got to solve that for y. So we're getting that y by itself. We've got to subtract our 4x. So y is less than 2 minus 4x. So when I graph that, it has a y-intercept at 2 and a slope of negative 4. So I go down 4 to the right 1. And I get this graph here. I'm going to use a dotted line because right here I've got a less than sign. There is no or equal to, so that means dotted line. Since it's less than, we're going to shade below. So we'll shade below the line here. For the second graph, I just have y is greater than negative 2. So this is going to be a horizontal line. So y equals negative 2 right here. I'm going to put a dotted line there in at a horizontal line at y equals negative 2. And then I need to shade above because I have greater than here. So choose the green. I'm going to shade above here. And if we want to highlight our overlap for this problem, that is in this top left corner here. That is the section that makes up our answer. Okay. For number 8, you've got 2 equations that need to be solved for y. So let's look at both of those. For the first, we've got 3x plus 2y is greater than or equal to negative 2. So we would have to subtract the 3x. 2y is greater than or equal to negative 2 minus 3x. And then we would divide by 2. So y is greater than or equal to negative 1 minus 3 halves x. So to graph that, I've got a y-intercept at negative 1. I have a slope of negative 3 over 2. So down 3, right 2. And I have an or equal to sign here, so I'm going to use a solid line to graph that. Okay. And then it's greater than or equal to, so I need to shade above the line. So if I can get my highlighter to cooperate here, I'll shade above this blue line right here. Okay. And then next, we've got to do x plus 2y is less than or equal to 2. So if I subtract x from both sides, I get 2y is less than or equal to 2 minus x. I could divide everything by 2. So I get y is less than or equal to 1. Now, remember there's like a 1 there with that x, so we'll have minus 1 half x. So this has a y-intercept at 1. You have a slope of negative 1 over 2. negative 1 over 2, so we go down 1 to the right 2, and we'll draw in this line. This is also an or equal to sign, so we're going to draw a solid line there. And then we need to shade below this line because we have a less than sign. So if we grab the green here, we're going to shade below, and then the overlap occurs in this section right here, so that is going to be our answer. So this is the general idea. I want you to finish the other problems on this page, and then you'll have a second worksheet. If you have any questions, you can ask.